Hello.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Bon appetit.
I know. I haven't eaten all day. And I
Oh,
just
bless your heart.
I ran into the mayor's office and I'm like, do you have any food? I can't sit through this 2-hour meeting without any food. And he had popcorn.
Oh my God.
Meiji, have we met before?
We met at the Camino Carlos Rey traffic thing.
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Are you a new member of the committee or are you here to make a public comment?
I'm here to ask a favor of somebody in your group.
Okay.
Talk
super.
to me. Okay.
We would love to help. That's what we're here for.
That's what I figured.
Thanks for coming. I guess, so I'm glad to see you here, Aurora, and you here, Meiji. That's kind of, am I saying your name right?
Close enough. It's Meiji.
Meiji. So the links seem to be working, at least for us, right? Thank goodness.
Yeah, she told us to use the link in either the packet or the Prime Gov. So I used the packet.
Okay, great. And I use the one that she had on my Outlook calendar. So some people have that. Oh, I got the captioners here and Pam's here.
Yay.
I can't believe I have to run this meeting by myself. I'm so ruh-roh.
Keep you out of trouble.
You know, I have 400 people working for me and I have like 4 jobs and this is only one of them. The big one is the public works director, of course, but the other ones are big too.
Was it streets and transit and everything else?
I am, I'm the complete streets division director. I'm the ADA coordinator. I'm the capital projects manager. That's a big one. Let's see, please assign me to type to CC. Captioner, I'm afraid I might need a little more help. If you could just come on and speak to me.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to chat. What we need to do is activate the closed captions window. And so this is a host feature where you assign me or you assign someone to type manual captions. So if you click on your captions window or the choice in your
So,
menu.
okay, hold on a second. What we learned the other day is the only way to do that is when the meeting is set up. It should already be set up from the person who sets up the meeting has to go into the account on.
All right, I call this meeting to order at 3:07 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Let's see, Member Pam Parfit. Present. Member Kendra Garcia.
Present.
Member Aurora Bleck.
Here.
Member Eli Fresquez.
Present.
Member Angelique Chavez.
Present. Good afternoon.
Hello, thanks for being here. Member Kathleen Gish, Chair Gish.
Present.
And did I miss? And then the person that's trying to dial in but isn't here yet?
That's Miriam. Yeah.
And she's a member, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Miriam is, and I'll say not present or excused, or how would you like me to record it?
For now, just say excused. But if she joins, then we can write present.
Okie dokie. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda that need to be made? If there are no changes to the agenda, may we have a vote to approve the agenda as it is? Aurora, go ahead.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I second it.
Who is the second? Is that you, Kendra?
Kendra. Mhm.
Thank you. All in favor?
We have to do a roll call vote.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Roll call. Member Pam Parfit.
Yes.
Member Kendra Garcia.
Yes.
Member Aurora Bleck.
Yes.
Member Eli Fresquez.
Yes.
Member Angelique Chavez
Yes.
and Chair Gish.
Yes,
Okay, Madam Chair, the agenda's been unanimously approved.
thank you. Can someone please email Miriam the email that I had sent out? I'm trying to do two things at once again and it's not working. That would be wonderful.
The one that you sent with a link?
Yeah,
Yeah,
To-
Madam Chair,
yeah,
I'll do
okay.
that.
thank
Okay,
you.
awesome.
So next is approval of the minutes and transcript. I know that Aurora, you had looked at it extensively, and even some of those edits, I couldn't make sense of them either. And so I think, I don't know really how to proceed with that. It's an issue of the transcriber. It's just, it's not going to be completely correct. I mean, unless we go back and look through the entire 2-hour meeting and make sure every single word is exact.
The comments I sent everybody are not geared that way. They're geared to more important articles, like the name of the woman who kind of started the disability movement. Let's
Right.
get that right.
Yeah,
Things like that. There were some things I just couldn't get. But there was plenty that I could. I don't know how to proceed with this either. This is something new we're trying to have the little subcommittee and all. And then Pam sent me some also corrections, but those are more, there's lots of those little things in there that I didn't even bother with, going more for important context, more important things. So how could we incorporate this into our essentially product that goes online?
Regina, do you want to answer that?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a suggestion that we feed that information back to Partners Interpreting to update. So it's either them, and then if that's not good, they're not going to do it, then Helona can do it for us. And I don't, so I think it would be a matter of not approving the minutes from the last meeting and us following up to incorporate the substantive feedback that Aurora provided on those minutes.
Okay, well, that being the case, that if you had if you looked at this and you had something that had a bunch of question marks at the end of it, if you can give me that information, we can put it all on the one page, but so any place where there were question marks and it had to do with something you said, if you can figure out what it was, can you get that to me? And then we can incorporate it all in this one list.
Are you speaking to me specifically, Aurora?
Oh, well, you and Kathleen both have like some places where there's 5 question marks. Eli, you've got 1. Anyway, yeah, there's about 3 for you, Regina, that are 5 question marks that I couldn't figure out what you were trying to say. But I mean, sometimes we'll never know, so if you can't figure it out either, oh, well. We
Okay,
can
that's a
take it off the
great
list.
suggestion. I think that maps to how the governing body does it as well, because I've seen that counselors will say, I didn't say that, I said this, and that, so it is a good idea to go back to the speaker and get clarity about that. And so that leaves Regina, Kathleen, and Eli have a little homework on that too.
Yeah, not a lot. No.
Okay. Question marks.
No, and
Okay,
I definitely agree with the need for the context to be correct, that if something is for something, that should be clear that was, that it's not the opposite statement, because that's been happening a lot in our captioning, is the words are being left out so that it's making, or just being an incorrect word, so it makes it sound like it's the opposite intention being said. So then in that case, we should hold a vote then. I guess it would be to approve the minutes, but then if you disagree with the minutes being approved,
Well-
please vote no.
Was the idea that we would wait and do it next month?
I think that's the thing to do.
Okay.
No
Yeah,
action
so-
taken.
So if you can get me your corrections, then next month, we'll just run it through.
Okay.
And I'll record no action taken
Okay, that will work. Yeah.
to postpone to next meeting.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, all right, so then the next item is public comments. Are there any public comments or comments on behalf of anyone who can't be here today?
I believe there is, Madam Chair. If there's anybody who would like to make public comment, raise your virtual or your real hand. Thank you, Miji. The
I-
chair will recognize you.
I just have, question. I live in a subdivision that has around 40 to 45 sidewalks that are significantly popped. 4 inches, 3 inches, they're dangerous. The HOA doesn't really want to deal with it. I know that it is the homeowner's responsibility. But really, nobody wants to financially or legally pay for it. Is there someone on your committee or someone that I could talk to figure out how to navigate the city, the HOA, my neighbors, to try to improve the safety of this neighborhood? Because I don't really know where to start, and I have a ton of addresses, but I don't want to just fill out the constituent report and report them. I would like it to be the right thing to do for everybody. Anybody can.
I don't know exactly what to do, but I can tell you the history.
Okay,
There was a very comprehensive study done of all sidewalks in Santa Fe, and there's a comprehensive list of what needs to be fixed. But you're right, the homeowner is responsible. But at the time we were talking about it, we were talking about, well, is there anything that can be done for people, you know, who are low income and can't really afford to do concrete work? You know, so I think there is something. Okay, that's all I know, Regina. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for bringing this issue up, Miji. It is a citywide issue and Aurora is correct. We have a transition plan, as it's called, right at the right of what PROW transition plan, public right of way, and identified a lot of failures. So the process is this. If you fill out one of those work orders for the addresses, which you won't have to do, I can take that information from you. We will send an inspector to the sidewalk of disrepair. We do this every day of the week, all over the city. We'll give the homeowner notice that their sidewalk is failing to comply with safety and ADA standards and ask them to make a repair. We give them 30 days. If they call us and they want more time, we'll give them 6 months, as long as they're working with us. They can get quotes from contractors. If they either don't respond or choose not to repair, then we'll go ahead and get the lowest price bid that we can for the repair. Then we execute the repair. It ranges from $1 to, in a worst case scenario, $10,000, somewhere between there. We'll present the property owner at that point with the bill for the work. If they choose not to pay it, it'll simply be placed as a lien on the property, so that when a transaction of sale occurs of the property, then that bill from the city would have to be cleared. And that process has been going really well. I think about half of the people choose to pay because they have the cash and they feel better that way. I think half the people approximately choose not to pay. There's no harassment, and then it ends up in a really nice sidewalk and really a property improvement for the property owner and the neighborhood. Does that
And I
make
just-
sense?
Go ahead.
yeah, so if I took all of my little notes from my phone and assembled all the addresses, contact your office with the list. Is
You
that what
can
you're saying?
email
Or
them
you
to me directly.
email them to you? Okay. I have your email, I have your card. Okay,
Excellent.
that's all I had, and I'm interested in seeing what else you guys are gonna talk about.
Thank you so
Thank
much for being here.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to be clear, Regina, that I have heard through the grapevine, but I would like a statement of this, that a lien on a home isn't like it is where taxes are owed or things like that, where they can reclaim the house. There's no reclaiming of the home, right? Just on record.
That's my understanding. The process is that it just sits there until there's a transaction. I don't know the process for taxes though, so I can't say if it's
Right,
like or not
right.
like that.
Angelique, go ahead.
I'm wondering if there is some type of grant or public funding that will make those accommodations or make those repairs for people that are low income or disabled or something like that. So let me look into that and let me ask the commission if there's some type of funding for that process.
Thank you, Angelique. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry, can I just ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
PROW stood for what?
Public right of way.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So next, if there are no more comments, Angelique, you still have your hand raised. If there are no more comments or questions, the next item is presentations, which there are none. And then after that, we have action items, item 7. And then item 7A is a continued discussion on updated AGA coordinator job position and a vote to approve a letter regarding the AGA coordinator to city leadership. I'm hoping that you all had time to review that. I tried to send it early enough so that you would all be able to review that, and also to review the qualifications of the candidate. And so I don't know what we can or can't say, Regina.
Madam Chair, I don't think there's too much you can't say.
Okay. So I can just do an overview of the process and what happened. And
That sounds great.
Okay. Okay. So Eli, myself, and Kendra, along with Julie Sanchez, who was in the first vote. So there was two separate votes, first and second. Julie Sanchez from Community Services was on the first. I don't remember who else was on the first, Regina.
Me.
You, and then Helona was she on the
The
first?
first round of interviews was Julie Sanchez, the Director of Community Services, and myself, Community Youth and Family Services, and myself. And then the second round of interviews was the 3 members of the Mayor's Committee on Disability, the Community Health and Safety Director, Kira Ochoa, and Helona Crow. Those were the 2 interview panels.
Thank you. And so we did an interview. There was 2 candidates. Both were amazing. Really, honestly, they were both amazing candidates. And it was a very hard vote. It was much harder than we thought it was going to be. But it turned out that what we need is really experience. And this candidate is experienced in ADA coordination and also has a 30-year work history dealing with ADA compliance in other areas under Title I predominantly. So it's both Title I and Title II is his experience. And so he knew what a transition plan was. He knew how to implement it. He knew all of our questions. And so anyway, like I said, it was a very hard vote. But the candidate that we chose, I truly believe is the best candidate and will get the city back on track for ADA compliance. And so I don't know if you, Kendra or Eli, have anything to say. Go ahead, Eli.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this short, but I think it's really amazing what the city had done for outreach to find really great candidates. Both candidates were really great. The candidate that we decided to go with does have extensive experience in ADA compliance across the country, has been doing this work in the private sector, but also in the public sector. I will say that what really helped was the city being open to really redesigning and rethinking the way that we thought about the ADA coordinator position itself. The original job posting was really from the 90s. And I think it was more centered on physical access, which is still an issue, but now moving it more into a more dynamic position of equity and inclusion and access, physical access, but also program access and services. So I know Kathleen and I, we did our homework. We looked across the country at what are some best practices. Some other folks in the community also have some input, and the city was really open to that. So I think having that really new improved job description, along with the city doing a lot of effort with that recruitment side, reaching out and through, I saw it in LinkedIn and a number of different places to try to find that great candidate. And I think it did. I think it found somebody who is a national expert to bring to Santa Fe to help us both on the physical side, but also on the programmatic side. So we drafted a letter of support to help the city in order for its position to hire this new person. So I'm just really excited and looking forward to the future, and think that this new role could really support the city and help it develop its accessibility and its transition plan and all the key features of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Kendra, I'll turn it over to you.
One thing that, well, not one thing, but you know, with possibly hiring this individual really brings the stability and the actual compliancy that we need as a city. I am born and raised in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I have a disability myself, multiple different types of disabilities, and really trying to get this candidate that we are really wanting for this position is vital and crucial. And I think he would definitely bring where the ADA needs to be here in Santa Fe. So most definitely, thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I want to thank Regina on record for including us in this process. I had initially just asked if we could sit in and just kind of shadow. And at first she said no, and then I don't know if you thought about it or what, or you know, realized how complex this process really is. But you included us fully, and I am incredibly grateful for that. That has been amazing to me to experience, and also is really how it should be, that people with disabilities who are affected by the issues should be included in the process to resolve the issues. So I really appreciate that and appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So if there are no more comments, Aurora, go ahead.
I have a technical comment.
Yeah.
The way the letter is set up right now, it's a memo and a letter. So I think it needs to be one or the other. So like if it's a memo, you just leave the stuff at the top and get rid of the signatures at the bottom.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah.
So good to see Miriam.
Hi. Thank you.
Yeah, because then if it's a memo, we just initial it that we sending it instead of signing it. Yeah. Okay. So if there are no more comments or questions, if there is any questions, we're here. All right, if there's no more comments, I think, you know, like I said, I had sent you all his resume and letters of recommendation. I think that those were very helpful. Even if you weren't part of the interview, I think that it gives a good overview of what was discussed in our interview process, and the experience that this person has. So if there are no more comments, may we have a vote to approve the letter as amended by Aurora's comments regarding the ADA coordinator to city leadership. I do have one question, which is that it is only addressed to Mayor Weber. And I'm wondering if, Regina, you think that it should be addressed to more people?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a good question. I mean, I think maybe the HR director and the mayor would be a good suite of folks. And Madam Chair, if I might, about the process, did you just make that motion? Approval of the letter?
Yeah, I tried.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Pending a second.
Second.
May we have roll call?
Roll
vote?
call. Pam Parfit,
Yes.
Kendra Garcia,
Yes.
Aurora Black,
Yes.
Eli Fresquez,
Yes.
Angelique Chavez,
Yes.
Miriam. I don't see your last name.
You're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. And Chair Gish.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
thank you. Next item is 7B, discussion on accessible trails. Kendra, if you are ready, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I had invited the Santa Fe Conservation Trust. They are currently working on a project to make an accessible trail. It's out in Laney in that area. I can't remember the specific address of the area, but you know, they are really wanting it to be accessible as much as possible for individuals with disabilities. This is actually not public land. This is actually, from my understanding, private land. And so I asked them if they could come, you know, kind of give us a presentation, see what their plans are, how they're going to make this, which they already have a good portion of the plans in place. And unfortunately, they weren't able to make it for today, but they should be available as of August 2nd to at least come and give us a small presentation, see what the project is about, and kind of give us the opportunity to give some feedback outside of the group. And so I've been taking part of it, as well as other community members and leaders of certain organizations throughout the state, and as well as the city. So that was that's my information that I'd like to share at the moment.
Thank you, Kendra. And let me know if they confirm. I know that I saw the emails that they said they could be, but please confirm with them that they will be attending, because then I can put them under the
On the
presentation.
agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it will be
Sounds
under
good.
presentation, so it'll be like in the first hour.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Let's
Madam
see,
Chair,
next-
Kendra, I can just
Yeah,
point
go
out for
ahead.
the committee that there's actually a really great website for that trail work, and it's actually called the Conservation Homestead Trail.
Yes.
Yeah. And it shows there's some design information, there's some goals, so that could get kind of warmed up with that.
Cool. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next is 7C, updates for posting the MCD position. I just wanted to confirm with Regina, because I know that we had discussed in the last meeting about how we don't have a liaison, and so we don't have anyone to kind of coordinate the applicants. And so I wanted to have like a group-wide discussion of how to coordinate this in this interim time, so that you don't have more work put on you and Helena doesn't have more work put on her. And how can we make this happen? So that it can
Thank you
get
so much,
posted.
Madam Chair. I did send a message, city clerk. I've spoken to the city clerk, and I've sent an email to the city clerk asking that we post that position, as well as the vacancy on the transit committee for person with disabilities. And I think there's kind of a backlog of posting committee vacancies. And so as soon as I hear back, I can remind city clerk again. I think as soon as we post it, we asked for multiple locations, Facebook, other outreach, in a very in a highly accessible format, which means just plain text. And so I'll ask her again. I think once we get resumes coming in, I'd be happy to send them to the whole committee if you'd like that, and we can all take a look at them. And then the mayor likes to actually get a briefing. So I would, definitely get your guys' input and then brief the mayor about the candidates and the city clerk. So the big hurdle we have right now is getting it posted.
Yeah. And then the second question we had was about the city resolution. I know Eli had sent you the accessible format document, and I don't think that has been posted yet. It could go in a separate link following to say, accessible format document, or something that identifies it as such, following the PDF that's not accessible. Unless Eli has any other suggestions, that was what I was thinking would be appropriate, because then it would say what it is, and then following it would say, accessible format document here. So if that could happen, because a lot of the questions that I got in the last round were questions that would have been answered if someone had been able to read that. So, and it's just an image. So that would be very helpful to have happen before we get that posting shared around.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll get that done.
Thank you. And then if there's no questions or comments on that item, item 7D, the summer commemoration event and event planning to celebrate and give awards to selected city staff and others who have supported the disability community. Eli, Kendra, Angelique.
Yeah, Kendra and Angelique, feel free. I'll just kick this off. This is something that Kendra and I had talked about way back when I came back to New Mexico in 2019, and we started a subcommittee, and then COVID happened. So everything was slowed down. But then just this past spring, we remembered this idea and this concept of having a commemoration of the Americans with Disabilities Act 33, along with Disability Pride Month, which is this month. It's something that hasn't been really done widespread in New Mexico. So this is a real opportunity to lift up the disability community, have public speakers, elected officials, other leaders come and talk to the disability community. It's about celebrating the American Disabilities Act. It's about celebrating people with disabilities and inclusion and how everyone's unique and how we can work in partnership and collaborate and build trust in the community. And then the awards itself is about really acknowledging those in the community who have done outstanding jobs when it comes to accessibility and working with the disability community. So we set up a subcommittee this past spring. We're moving right along. We just sent out an invite this morning to another group of people. And so we're just really looking forward to this event. It's going to be between 50 and 100 people. So far, people are hopping on, so we're selling out. So join quickly. And then just the logistics piece of this, we're working on, audio, video, captioning, American Sign Language, looking at some donation and sponsorships as well to help support it and sustain it in the future. So this is just our first year. And we've already gotten vendors reaching out to us about next year and what we can do for next year. So we're really excited. It's a lot of work. And I'll turn it over to Kendra and Angelique because we are all just working hard on this event. So it's exciting. It's fun.
I'll go. I don't know if Angelique, you wanted to speak, but so really right now it's moving along. We're getting a lot done. It's going to be now on the 25th, like Eli said. And so any help that the committee can help support in making sure things run smoothly, that'd be great. Like Eli said, we sent out an email, so please register as soon as possible. I believe a good portion of our committee has already RSVP'd. It's just a matter of those who haven't. Please do so as soon as possible.
So if we RSVP'd to you earlier, do we need to fill out the form?
Yes, unfortunately, just so we can kind of make sure that we're keeping track of what, how many tickets, things like that, how many people are actually attending.
Okay.
Yeah, or we'll know you'll be there, but it'll just help us with coordination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pam, you had your hand up for a second there.
Yes. When I went to the site to fill out that form, register, it crashed. I couldn't open it.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like anything with technology, right? It's never going to be perfect. Pam, if you want to try it again, go for it. We have you down anyway, so don't worry too much about it. But we tried a couple different platforms. This one seemed the easiest and most accessible, but like anything else, it will crash. So maybe give it one more shot, and if not, you're already in, and we'll follow up with you because I have a couple. I wanted to check in with you about our cart captioning, which we're really excited about. We are going to have cart captioning at the event, and it will be live streamed along with projected. There's a lot of logistics involved in that, which I'd love to talk to you a bit more on offline.
And then Eli, I have a question for you. Well, two questions. One is, will there be an agenda for the evening? And if so, could you get that to us beforehand, since we will most likely be also assisting with the evening, not just attending? And then what kind of assistance is still needed for the event, if anything, from us?
Yeah, so we're definitely having a program guide.
Okay.
And that's something that we're starting to work on now. So kind of a run of the show. And we'll be sharing that with the city as well for their feedback and making sure that everything is done in a way that coordinates the different speaking opportunities and so forth. So yes, on that. Specifically on any support from the committee, nothing at this point yet. We may want to reach out if our ticket sales are down or we're not getting enough people. I don't suspect that'll be an issue. We may want to assign some duties when it comes to the actual event day. Maybe someone greeting people at the front door. Maybe just I think we're thinking of having like an informational booth or some center place where if people have questions or concerns. The location is accessible. It's wheelchair accessible, ingress and egress. The restrooms are accessible both in the front and in the back, and there is a single user stall in the back as well. So there's lots of accessibility features at the event, but we want to make sure that anybody showing up, and if they have questions about American Sign Language or cart captioning or the unique features of the restrooms, that we have somebody that can help inform them. But Angelique or Kendra, feel free
Yeah.
if you all have any thoughts.
I think for the most part, everything is going to be perfectly organized. Like really, I think we're covering all our bases. I think it's going to flow very beautifully, and I think it's going to be a wonderful celebration. I think more than anything, for the most part, everyone will be attending as guests because everything is going to be covered. It's more of an accommodation for individuals, like if someone specializes in a certain area, like Eli mentioned, then they can kind of comment or make some type of accommodation. But for the most part, I think everything's coming together perfectly.
That's awesome. Thank you, Angelique. Regina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just, Angelique had told me about some of the people that she had been inviting. I thought it would be exciting for the members of the committee and participants in this meeting to hear. Would you be willing, Angelique, to tell us a little about who you've been inviting?
So this is where my passion comes in. Well, we've been throwing as a team. Sorry, my little boy has his music playing in the background. So as a team, we were kind of throwing together a list. And so far we have like the mayor's staff, mayor's committee, governor's commission, city council, county officials, state representatives, and Eli's been speaking with a couple of the representatives, one-on-one, and I'm excited about that part. We are also going to invite a couple of individuals that are running in the new elections. Either they do volunteer work already in the community, or they're already publicly known. I guess that's the way to say it. Awardees, we have several awardees that we've already selected. And then they'll have plus ones as well. We have invited the Pojoaque Pueblo governor and her governing staff, and I'm really excited about collaborating with them. I'm excited about hearing back from them. We've asked them to nominate someone within their community that really stands out. And then when I mentioned this to Regina, she mentioned a Pueblo that she has worked with very closely and actually worked for. And I think by reaching out to them, we can maybe highlight accessibility and different things that we need where they're lacking. We definitely need to reach out and be a bridge to them as well. So this is going to be a really neat event, just to have conversations with people who are in office and bring a really positive light, to what the city of Santa Fe is doing, what this committee is doing specifically, and what individuals in the community are doing. I'm really on fire for this event, and I'm excited actually to see it all come together. So yeah, I think there's going to be some great conversations going on in the room that night.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to it, so I really appreciate all of the work that you've been doing. I know it was like a really crunch time, like it was like the last moment to put it all together, but it's happening, so it's very exciting. Kendra, go ahead.
One last thing or two last things that we need to mention at least about the event is, one is Miss Gish, Chairman Gish, if you can please give a speech about the committee. That was one of the things we would like the committee to, well, you in particular, to do for the event. And I know usually public speaking is not the greatest in anybody's vocab, but yeah, if you could please give that. And then in addition, we're looking for sponsorship for the event. So if anybody knows of any sponsors that are looking to help with this event, please have them reach out to Eli. Eli is going to be our main point of contact for that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kendra.
And just on, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick, everyone. Just on that sponsorship piece, all donations for the event can go to the Arc of New Mexico. So we've been working really closely with them. They're our close partner. Heather Benavides is their executive director over there. And so they have been a really great partner in this. And I just spoke with her last week, and we've worked out a system where they can just identify that when they do donate to the ARC, that it's for this event. So we've been working with the ARC, and the ARC, just so people knows, is a national program with a very strong New Mexico presence. They actually have a facility in Albuquerque, and they serve developmental disability community and a lot of neurodivergent kids and adults. So it's just a really great organization that we've been collaborating with as well, along with the city and others.
Thank you, Eli and Kendra. Angelique?
I'm sorry, but another thing that I left out is the Santa Fe School Board. Just because I'm really passionate and I have a heart for the kids in this community. And since a lot of children in the city of Santa Fe have IEPs, I do want to mention that they're going to be invited as well. Another really exciting thing is I spoke with Regina about the mayor being part of the presentation for the awards. And I think it's going to be a real honor, like to kind of have him up there and being part of this wonderful event. I'm excited. So, just wanted to mention that as well.
Thank you, Angelique. Regina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I should say that to be sure for the mayor's time, we should definitely have that agenda sooner than later so that it's clear for the mayor's calendar. And then I did want to say that the city has agreed to pay the catering for the event, which is one of the largest single expenses. It's almost $10,000. And so the city's obviously a big supporter and sponsor, and thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you for that information, and thank you, Regina, for all of your help with everything as well.
I mean, really, I know those numbers were really big, Regina, and I really appreciate you. Doing it, putting it through. I having all those meetings with us and everything. I really appreciate your time.
So happy to support. Thank you.
Next item is 7E. Let's see. Discussion and plan to implement inclusive city meetings, accommodations process, Zoom hybrid meetings, ASL cart languages, loop system in city buildings, and ongoing need to correct and update community access. And there has been, we can talk about the cart services with Pam a little bit and how we corrected some of the issue. Pam, is the cart services working today for you?
As far as I know, I'm on the Google system. we're not using it.
Okay. So Regina, do you want to give a quick brief rundown of what the process has been to try and correct CART?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's so funny that this one, I mean, I know you guys have been working on CART for years and now I've been working on it for 6 months and it is just, we have a long way to go to have accessible meetings be just part of how we do business, right? And so we're all learning. We did learn a lot in that great troubleshooting meeting with Partners Interpreting the other day. And the reason that Pam is not using the live captioning is because this Zoom meeting was set up without the proper behind the scenes setup, just like we learned last week in our troubleshooting situation. So let's see. So I'm sorry, do you want to say what I can't, Eli, you're translating CART. That's live captioning. Is that what you're trying to do, Eli? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just breaking that acronym down.
Okay, so that's live captioning rather than the built-in Zoom captioning. We learned, Partners Interpreting is the company that we have the purchase order with that is actually here today, not actually providing live captioning, but at least providing verbatim transcripts, which are required for accessible meetings. They taught us about the backend configuration. They taught us about the value of early material to the captioner so that they know the correct spelling of the names of the speakers. They taught us about the importance of having the same captioner so that they become familiar with like street names and place names that in Santa Fe are often in Spanish. So we learned about that. We learned that the streaming live captioning is really good to project on a separate screen, say in the council chambers on a big screen by itself so people in the audience can see. And then we also learned that it's ideal to have a direct below the speaker type of captioning so that for people like Pam that are reading lips and facial expressions. So we've learned a lot. I think we're scheduled to meet again with IT soon. They're focusing on other things like the city's new financial year, which is taking a lot of work for them, and the city clerk. So I'm still trying to, get into the council chambers. At this moment, we learned that the council meetings no longer have live captioning scheduled. They are not posting any live stream captioning on a separate screen. So work to do there. And also further on the update, I think the installation of the hearing loop was postponed a little bit and is due so I'll have to get you a new date. And when that happens, the facilities team is planning to make the podium accessible, which is something we have a very long list that we gave about accessible meetings. And I think we're also thinking about trying to have Spanish translation on a separate live stream screen, and Partners Interpreting can provide that, but I still need to coordinate with the city clerk and IT to get some of that going. And then I think that's all I know. If there's anything else I can provide, Madam Chair.
No, I think that's an excellent summary of everything that's been happening. It's been a lot. Angelique, go ahead.
Regina, I just want to say thank you about the podium. I tried everywhere. I looked for one of those accessible podiums all the way up to the Capitol, and we do not have one in the state. So the city is going to be the first one to have an accessible podium. And I think we need to recognize that. And it's going to be custom made. Regina went all the way to the top to have this made, and I'm really excited.
Thank you, Angelique.
That's very cool. I didn't know about the custom made part. That's pretty awesome. So anyway, that's going to be an ongoing discussion, obviously, and a lot of work for all of us to include to make sure that our governing body meetings are accessible for everyone to participate and understand what's happening. And I thank you, Regina, because I know it's been a lot of work.
Thank you. thanks to all of you that we all really pitched in last week at that, at that meeting.
Are there any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Pam.
Madam Chair, everyone who has participated in this process to get MCD meetings and city council meetings, governing body meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing. I can't thank you enough. Maybe the first podium in the state. Well, this is the first inroad that our communities, the deaf and hard of hearing, feel it's substantive. It's really happening. I thank you all so much.
You've been a big part of it too, Pam. So thank you for the time that you've put in as well. You've dedicated a lot of time to all of this as well. So thank you too. The next item, if there's no other further comments, the next item is 7F, voting to create MCD assistance committee subcommittees, and I can't think of any others that we need. And so if anyone can think of any other subcommittees that we may need, please speak now. Regina, are you raising your hand? No, okay. All right, so I can't think of any, so I'll move on. So the next item is discussion items, no action. Updates regarding the public library access process for obtaining physical materials for homebound and physically limited patrons. And I actually have a really exciting update on that. So I can give a brief summary. The summary backstory is that at some point during the pandemic, we don't know exactly when, the home delivery or nursing home delivery of physical library resources and materials stopped. We don't know when or why. The Friends of the Library, Friends of the Santa Fe Public Library just stopped doing it. And the new division director, I think her name was Margaret, she called me. We were playing phone tag a while, but she finally got a hold of me and was very kind and listened and understood the importance of the need for materials to be able to be brought to people who cannot get to the library. And so she is now trying to figure out what happened and how to fix it and how to return the service within the city so that everyone can access the library. And so that to me was a very positive response, and she completely understood. Like, I didn't even have to explain. When I tried to explain, she was just like, yeah, I know, I get it. I understand. So and she was very kind and very just understanding. So so I just wanted to let you know that that process has started to try and resolve that issue. Regina, you had your hand up.
That was my clapping hands, Madam Chair. Thank you so much and congratulations for progress on that.
Yeah, thank you. Angelique, go ahead.
So I contacted the Santa Fe Public Libraries in, I believe, June, Kendra, if I'm not mistaken. And I asked if they would do a feature in the month of July, being that it's Disability Awareness Month. And they haven't yet. It's the 5th. So I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping that they feature books written by people with disabilities, books including, you know, awareness about disabilities and children's books specifically, and most importantly about ADA. So I'm hoping that they do and they start promoting that not only on their social media page, but throughout the libraries. So we'll see.
Angelique, I can send you Margaret's email contact and phone number because she was very understanding of disability issues and needs. And so I think that she would be a good person to directly contact. And so I will get you that after this meeting. What else? Okay, so next item is 8B, ice and weed removal in the city of Santa Fe as an ADA compliance issue. I just want to say, Regina, they did remove the weeds on Paseo de Peralta and it looked really good. So thank you. I don't know if we need to say much more on this. Weeds are going to grow. I know you had stated that there was a new service happening and you were testing it out. Are there any updates on that being successful or?
I'm sure, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm so glad that they got that. I just opened a regular work order on the city's work order system on your behalf for those weeds, by the way. So the system does work. It's not perfect every time. I encourage everybody to use it, but also reach out to me if you're not getting satisfaction. And I don't know the update on the steam weed killer and I'll have to get it. And
Okay.
if there, I think I'll definitely find out and hopefully they'll be buying another one.
Thank you. There are no more comments on ice and weed removal. Angelique, go ahead.
Not a nice removal, but Swan Park. So I was notified by Special Olympics that they do several practices at Swan Park and that the grass and everything is a mess. So I don't know how we go about just getting it cleaned up for our athletes, especially because they represent Santa Fe. They are Team Santa Fe, and we need to make sure that the park is, you know, cleaned up and accessible for them. If you guys have any suggestions, I would love to hear them.
I'd be happy to follow up on that. Could you explain a mess to me at all? Are we talking litter? Are we talking not yellow grass? Are we talking long grass?
I think it's long grass. And I think, yeah, there was some litter, but most importantly, I think some paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia. So if we could get that cleaned up, that would be nice, just because, especially if they have cognitive delays, I would hate for one of them to pick up a needle or something like that. And, you know, if we could just get it cleaned up, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. I will, I'll get on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angelique, and thank you, Regina. Next is 8C, ADA compliance process upon receipt of verbal, written, mailed, emailed complaint request for an accommodation. This is just an overview. Again, we've already gone over this, but that the process is on the website. And I know I had sent you, Regina, just on record, and this is also for item E, I had sent Regina updates about the website not printing properly so that you can't print it to PDF. And it's part of this process is we should be able to print out that complaint process and have it be accessible so that someone can just go through it, itemize it, and know what's going to happen. But that's in the works. 8D, continued discussion of appropriate city placement for ADA coordinator and Mayor's Committee on Disability. This is an interesting discussion. So I had been asked by Kira Ochoa and Health and Safety, as well as since I was Julie Sanchez's intern when under Youth and Family Services before she was the director. I knew them, and so I told her, you know, if Julie was appropriate to include Julie. And so we had a good discussion. Basically, they stated that the Office of Inclusion and Equity, or whatever it's going to be called, is, you know, in discussion. That so far, we, Eli and Kendra, I'm going to call on you too, can be part of these discussions to find out if it's appropriate for us to be moving under that department or not. You know, as I've stated, they're not really a civil rights enforcement office. And so, you know, there's kind of some gray area. They definitely deal with civil rights issues. And so, you know, and their department is incredibly diverse for their committees. They have the most diverse committees, and they definitely deal with issues that we are concerned about. So it would be a more appropriate placement than under Public Works, definitely. Is it everything that we want and need? I don't know. Can we make it that way? Possibly, you know, it's all just in discussion right now. And so I think it would be really good to kind of take this opportunity as a committee to find out what's possible with this move and whether we do want to be under that department, how it would benefit us and how we could benefit the department and the community through that work. And so that's kind of where we're at, and that's kind of where it was left. I'm not making any decisions. I was an intern under Youth and Family Services, so I know a lot of the work that Kira and Julie are doing, and I know how it does align with our priorities and our needs, but I also know that it doesn't fully align with them. So it's a lot of I think it's just going to be a lot of discussing, you know, where the gaps are, and trying to find ways to address the gaps. And then also to move forward where we will benefit the community. And I told Julie that even if we don't, in the end, even if we don't move under that department or we do something completely different, however it will work, however we can get it to work, I don't know, that we should still be aligned with them because we can really support their work and what they do. And so I need to follow up and get Julie. Julie said that she has 12 employees now, which is amazing because when I was her intern, I think she had like one coworker. So it was just a small and mighty team. But I think she said that she was going to send someone to join our meeting to go over what they do and better explain it about what is going on in that department, and so that we can have a better understanding of how we can work together in one way or another. So that was literally pretty much a good summary of our discussion. If there's any questions or comments. No, okay.
I guess that, Madam Chair, I'd love to add a little comment. I think everybody here is aware, but I just say, and like you said, Madam Chair, regardless of the place inside the organization, especially with this highly experienced new person leading this initiative, that person will help us with policy. It will help us with addressing all the items of the enabling legislation. They understand exactly how the city must respond to accommodation requests. Regardless of where that person sits, it will get much better, and we will continue as we are now to the best of our ability to pursue the goals. And so organizational structure, you guys are getting very well known around the city of how important these issues are. And I would just say that we do have to work with a structure that makes sense, but we also will work with whatever structure we end up with to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. And that was another thing that Kira told me, was that if we were to move under health and safety / community services, we would basically be in the same position that we are in now under Regina. She's not trying to put us under, different divisions all the way down, like we ended up under streets and drainage maintenance. She's not doing that to us. She's, trying to make sure that we are in a high position within her department so that we do have that sort of authority. And she said that she does have a good relation with the city. She does have the ability to communicate as a director in the same way that Regina is. And so we won't be siphoned off again, and made the way that we've been dealing with so many barriers just to be heard, for the past, since 2017. And so that won't be a problem. And I guess if it became a problem, we could voice it. But she is very aware of that issue and that concern that we have of just, ending up in a really lower position than we need to be, where we are rendered ineffective. She is very aware of the issues that we've been having with that, and does not want to repeat that. And so I was very grateful that she stated that, because that was my concern to her, was, voicing that she is aware of, so that she's aware of that problem that we've had. And she said it was very apparent with what we're dealing with now, even, that we haven't had the level of support that we've needed since 2017, and probably even before then. And so she wanted to make sure that that was addressed and not repeated. And so yeah, that's about all I have to say. It wasn't an in-depth discussion. It was just kind of like a meet and greet and just letting us know, you know, that nothing is set, you know, that everything is just being discussed and we can be part of the discussion. And let's see if there's no more comments or questions. So the next item, 8E, continued discussion of updates on the new city website, features and accessibility. So I had mentioned this, and like I said, I had sent Regina the printouts of all different ways to try and print the city website. The former website had a feature that was a printer friendly version for each page. And you could print it to a PDF, or you could print a physical copy, but it erased all of the elements. So there was no images, there was no borders, there was no menu on the side. It was the body context, and that was it. Just the content of the body. And you could make the font bigger, you could make it smaller, and it stayed within the page. So there was text wrapping. And the new website, the text goes far off the right, and you have to make like literally like a 2-inch margin to pull it in, but then the font is too small. And so there's some interesting issues with that. And I tried everything to print it, and even copying and pasting the text, like that was like my only option, was just copying and pasting the text and putting it in a Word doc and then editing it. And even that sometimes didn't work because it did maintain some of the website elements, unless I did text only. So anyway, it was a lot of fun playing with the website, trying to get it to work and just seeing how every time I tried to do something to make an accessible PDF, it just didn't work. So I sent Regina, like, what was it, 7 different printouts. It was a whole list of all different things that I had done, print to PDF, save to PDF, all different things, and none of them worked properly. Either the font was too small or it just went off the edge. And so hopefully that will get fixed, because printer friendly version was very helpful for someone like me who does use an e-reader, and to not have those elements on the web page, and also just to be able to print for our meeting, to be able to print content from the website without having to print borders and menus and have the print go off the edge. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that getting fixed. That's been one of my main issues personally. I don't know if anyone else has any updates on the website or anything. I know, Eli, you had stated there was one other problem that you're aware of, at least. Want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, it's kind of an ongoing issue, and that has to do with the use of Accessibility as the overlay. And we had flagged that as being a concern. It often will make a website less accessible. There are other ways of making a website more accessible. And so our recommendation was to remove the overlay. I understand that, you know, you purchase these overlays with good intentions and good faith, but a lot of them unfortunately end up with a less accessible website. And Accessibility itself has actually been sued by a number of advocacy groups, along with other kinds of overlays that are similar. They're not all built alike. Some overlays are better than others, but I just wanted to flag that as something that in my mind should be removed, and then look at the website itself and see how we can make improvements on the accessibility side. There are some little things like color contrast and alt text and heading structure that could be used to improve the website. Overall, though, I mean, the website has a lot of accessibility features. I would say just again that one barrier to access is actually the thing that is supposed to make it accessible, but doesn't, and that's the accessibility overlay.
Thank you, Eli. Regina, do you have something to say?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is it's hard for me to be the go-between between you guys and the web. I wonder, do we have a subcommittee? I mean, I think I understood there was a meeting once. My understanding from staff was it didn't go well. They felt attacked. I think nothing happened as a result. I don't know if there's a way that we can, because so what I'm doing, and just so you guys know, what I do is I'm entering these for the webmaster on the website. There's always a little link at the bottom of the website that says report a website issue. And she's pretty responsive. Chair Gish, I submitted yours last week, and she said that when they get their new PO, they'll work on that with a vendor. And then, but I also heard from the city clerk that she was upset and frustrated because apparently our comments are causing the vendors to try to sue her. And so it's just not going that well. And I don't know how, if maybe we could put our heads together to figure out how we could make this go better, because there's all these little things that you find. I think just reporting them right there on there to the webmaster, most of those will get addressed. But my guess is, Eli, this whole lawsuit thing was Accessibility when they went and said you're not accessible or something. I mean, I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
I don't know. I was in the meeting with Jesse Jaramillo, who was from the Governor's Commission on Disability. And I wasn't in all of it, but from the part I listened to and just the tenor of it was very conversational. It wasn't meant to be critical and informative. So with that said, I mean, maybe they took it the wrong way. It wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to be educational. Now, Accessibility doesn't bring lawsuits. What they do is they are supposed to make a website more accessible. But people in the disability community, particularly this company, have seen them as over-promising and under-delivering when it comes to that. And that's why we're recommending they be removed. I don't know if there's some contractual agreement with the city where we said we're going to pay them to do this, or what that looks like. It shouldn't. It should be a feature that we should decide as a community isn't quite appropriate or not the right feature to use for us, and have that flexibility. I would say that removing it would make the website more accessible. And there's lots of, there's actually a open letter that was created by the disability community that's been sent out, particularly about this overlay and other overlays and why it doesn't make your website more accessible. And frankly, you just pay for something that really doesn't serve the interests of the community it's trying to serve.
Thank you so much, Eli and Madam Chair, for the conversation. I will just forget what I was told in the past. I just submitted another request on the city's website to remove Accessibility as a request from the Mayor's Committee on Disability, and we'll see if we can make some progress on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, one thing that I want to say about Accessibility is I'm kind of fascinated by the fact that you can't turn it off. Like once it's there, it's just popping up and there, and you cannot turn it off, and you should be able to turn it off even if it's present. There should be a way to say go away, and there's not. And so, with me, I mean, I can see well enough to navigate a website. I don't need it, but it just should be able to go away. So, it's kind of, like they said, it takes over a website, and it does, and it shouldn't be that intrusive. And so that's kind of my issue with it personally. And so, if it was there and it could be turned off, I don't think any of us would have issues, but you can't turn it off. So that's where the issue is. So I don't think, are there any sorry. The next item is, if we don't have any more comments on this, is 8F, MCD subcommittee reports. Go ahead, Aurora.
Mary McGinnis used to be on the Transit Advisory Board pre-pandemic, and she resigned after the pandemic, but she recommended a very nice young man who is unfortunately moving to California to go to graduate school. So he was, maybe going to take the ADA slot, but it sounds like, Regina, that you're sent that over to advertise for Transit Advisory Board. So yay, but we do need members still, but we're still trying to get it moving.
Yeah, we'll get it little by little, Aurora.
Poco a poco.
I have a little update for you on that, Madam Chair, if I could. So so this was about the Transit Advisory Board and that, so that board has actually been dormant for a little bit, largely because we haven't had Transit Director of Administration for a few years. And I have great news. That was another one that the mayor supported us in some special recruitment on because it's such an important role. And we had 2 spectacular candidates, something like the ADA coordinator position. Our number 1 pick actually declined, but number 2 is fantastic. And I expect that person to accept and begin working very soon. She actually comes from New Mexico Department of Transportation. She's worked with
All right.
our organization. She's worked with other transits around the state. She's just super systematic. She knows about all the grants, all the money, all the administration. She's committed to public outreach and accessibility. And so we should have a new person in that role that will then lead that committee, advisory committee, and things will get right back on track.
That sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that update, Regina. That's awesome too. Are there any other subcommittee reports? No? Okay. So next is 9 matters from staff. And I know, Regina, you're supposed to make a statement.
Hey, thank you so much, Madam Chair. Well, one thing I will say is that I did ask the mayor if we could recognize July as Disability Awareness Month, and he's very excited to do that. I actually owe a proclamation and to buy the flag, but we'll do the good flag that doesn't cause fits and get that pulled together here real soon.
Very cool. And thank you, Mayor, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks
I
for
don't know if
letting.
you have anything to say. Go ahead.
I've been listening and taking notes, and it's good to be able to attend and listen in without having to necessarily speak, because you guys don't need me butting in. But it's good to come to the meeting. Good to hear what's on your mind. I, like Regina, have been firing off emails while sitting here, so we're both getting the library activated and doing stuff in real time. So appreciate all your hard work. I think we're doing well. I'm looking forward to the celebration that you're planning. And I think it's fun for me to listen in to all the good stuff that's moving forward. I'm really grateful to you and excited about next steps. So I will do my best to continue to attend meetings. I'm trying to schedule my own time a little more so that I don't just do the same activities every day, but I can break out and listen in on other opportunities to learn and listen and be present. So good work, y'all. Thank you for letting me zoom in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And you're
Thanks.
definitely welcome in our meetings. I think it's actually very helpful for you to be here. It kind of, I mean, we're the mayor's committee, you know.
I know well, it's good for me. I get to hear firsthand, unfiltered, and then we can do stuff together. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. And so then Regina, you're supposed to say this. I'll say it though. A link to the video recording of this meeting will be added to the meeting minutes for this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah. So next is matters from the committee. Is there any? Go ahead, Aurora.
During the pandemic, some disability parking spots were taken for restaurant outdoor seating. Pandemic's over. Next to the co-op.
There was
There's-
also, was it near Ginger's as well?
I don't know about Ginger, but the
Okay.
one next to the co-op, the food co-op, it's by the kombucha brewing place that went out of business anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They've still got their big concrete blocks there.
Yeah, I can go over there and take pictures and send a request. Because I have a placard too, and I definitely use it at the co-op. So yeah, I haven't been there in a while. So
I can get it, Madam Chair. I live right there and
Oh, cool.
and I can get our sort of start the process. Thank you.
Yeah, I was there Friday, so it's still there.
okay. Cool. Thank you for that, Aurora. Any other comments? Angelique, go ahead.
I'm a big fan of co-op. If you guys know, a lot of the children with disabilities walk to co-op and they allow them like shopping opportunities. They teach them like how to exchange money and just different things, but they work very closely with the children in our community that have disabilities. And when my son had several brain surgeries, they just reached out. They're very kind. I'm a fan of them for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, Angelique. Any other comments, matters from the committee? Nope. Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Another thing I want to recognize the city for is if any of you attend the Fuego games, which I'm a big fan of, they were notified about a staircase that, you know, was having problems. And I mean, the next day they took it down. It was totally safe. So I applaud the city on that because, you know, that was taken care of immediately.
Very cool. So if there are no more matters from the committee, I'm sad to like be ending this meeting earlier. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so our next meeting is August 2nd,
Hey,
2023.
Kathleen, it's better you go. Chair.
Our next meeting is
Great
August
picture.
2nd. Our next meeting is August 2nd, 2023 from 3 to 5 on Zoom, and we're trying to keep the same link. So hopefully it will stay the same. I know we've had some issues with it changing, but we're trying to keep the same link. Regina, go ahead.
I think we might have to change it because it was set up without the live captioning
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but in the future though, we should have the same,
Okay.
like going forward. Yeah, we should have the same link going forward. So, yeah. All right, so hopefully we will have everything fixed by the next meeting. And if there's no more comments or questions or things to mention or say, we are adjourned at 4:25 p.m.
Wow, thank you so much, Madam Chair and everybody.
You.
Great job, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
Thanks, everybody. Good
Yeah,
work.
Thank
here.
you. It was nice
Thank you,
having
Mayor.
you.
I'll
Thank
see
you,
you
Mayor.
guys. soon. Take care of yourselves.
Have a good
Be
day.
well.
Too.
See you next week, next month.